You are a hunter. You see a buffalo in front of you. You're hungry. You have to kill him to survive. But in the process, he can kill you as well. You have this unique relationship with this creature, which is both a predator and a prey to you at the same time. You go for it, successfully take his life, satisfy your hunger, and thank the great spirit of buffalo and all that is alive, including the sun above you, which is moving, hence naturally alive. Such was the animistic worldview. Fast forward a little, and with the invention of plow, everything changes. Now you can settle down, grow more food, and support more people, and hence beat everyone who doesn't use the plow, even if you suffer heavy casualties in the process. But there is no great spirit of buffalo anymore. Animals are made for humans, you see, and women for men. Such was the agricultural mythology. Technology is not wholly neutral. It shapes our perception of the world and ourselves. It makes some things relevant over others. Walking in a jungle is a completely different experience when you have a camera in your hand, or an axe, or a gun. The invention of the plow roughly coincided with the decline of hunter-gatherer mythology and the rise of agricultural mythology. Culture, worldview, everything. The is-art distinction of Hume, the idea that we can have truth statements without attaching any value to them for all intents and purposes, does not exist. Going a little further, with the rise of empires and figures such as Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, we begin to see a uniquely human tendency to seek maximization of agency or power. An army is an investment, in return of which one seeks to gain, among other things, a bigger army. It is, however, terribly inefficient. It's hard to convince anyone to die for you. With the invention of what we now call capitalism, or more specifically, banking and stock market, the corporation, the division of a very personal adventure into a game of speculation takes place. Things suddenly become highly efficient. Now you don't have to invest your own life to expect a return, nor is what you get in return something abstract, like civilizational integrity, which the Pope promised during the Crusade. It's much more direct, a token which affords you options to do things. abstract but direct. Not every citizen will contribute to the Crusades, and certainly not every Greek will fight for Alexander. However, just about every Englishman can invest in the British East India Company. 14th Amendment. Laws which were primarily meant to give personhood to the black people were co-opted by corporations to give personhood to corporations. And by 1900s, more than half the cases were filed by corporations and less than 1% by blacks under the Equal Protection and Due Process clauses. But if corporations were people, they would be technically psychopathic, Machiavellian, and narcissistic. They'd be obligate Machiavellians, as it is the obligation of a corporation to its investors to raise the value of its stocks.
GDP goes up with war. So if market size is a measure of civilizational progress, then war's awesome. GDP goes up with addiction, because if someone is addicted to McDonald's, addicted to their smartphone and purchasing, addicted to whatever, it leads to more market activity. It goes up with diseases that are treated through for-profit processes. There are kids who do very well at the primary metrics of school, like SATs, but who are suicidal or sociopathic. So from the narrow definition of did this way of raising kids and educating them do well, SAT, sure. From did we raise healthy human beings that can also contribute to a healthy society? It's a very different question. So there is progress of stored knowledge. There is progress of capability of achieving things. Are the goals well defined? Are they good goals is a really important question.
This is what is known as the alignment problem in the world of bit. Our idea of progress is not aligned with the safety and integrity of the biosphere, but to maximizing the agency of everyone involved in the short term, which translates to seeking endless profit, endless growth, an impossible demand given we live on a finite planet. And regardless of whether or not we successfully set colonies beyond this planet, what is relevant for us now is the safety and integrity of the biosphere. The concepts and research of global warming and climate change are developed way beyond what was available just a few years ago. And each estimate along the way, which we were not certain of, has revealed itself to be far worse than what we had imagined. A trend which in all likelihood continues. We are living, as of now, in the 6th mass extinction event. The Holocene, the conditions under which every living thing on Earth, including humans, survived and thrived, is about to end. Johann Rockström and others have identified 9 planetary boundaries, crossing which will do irreversible damage to the biosphere, eventually ending the Holocene. This will happen within 2 decades, a time frame too short to see extraplanetary solutions in any meaningful way. In 1935, Smedley D. Butler published his book, War is a Racket. A racket, for those who aren't familiar with the term, is a sort of scam which profits off of solving the problems it creates. A protection racket, for example, gives you protection from the people who claim to give you protection. He called war the only racket global in scale. Of course, today, multinational corporations exist. A lot of health problems, including cancer, is caused mainly through exposure to harmful chemicals. To solve these problems, Big Pharma looks at research and development. Specifically, the research and development which leaves the question of man-made pollution off the table and tries to find other ways to solve the problems partly caused by them. Similarly, people have developed a lot of apps to reduce screen time and improve mental health. The problems caused by apps developed by corporations in complete defiance of the precautionary principle. They did so because it was their obligation. If they didn't, someone else would have fulfilled the duty to the investors. So ultimately, modernity is a big racket. Gen Z, those born roughly between 1999 and 2012, faced the worst of the results of all of this. We have the worst mental health in recorded history. More teenage girls than ever have body dysmorphia, and in many ways, the damage is permanent. As Jonathan Haidt puts it, it's the greatest loss of human capital in history, though the term human capital itself is somewhat irritating to me. This is the tragedy of the commons. Nobody wants to live in a polluted world, but the personal cost of cutting down a tree is asymmetrically lower than the benefits of it, and this scales to the international level. In absence of an art, what prevails is not pure scientific curiosity. No, what prevails is game theory. And game theoretically, the best thing to do is to assume the next guy is gonna cut down the tree. He's gonna build an AI and you should build it before him. No one wants this. No one says on their deathbed, I regret not consuming more. What they say is, I wished I had the courage to live her life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had let myself be happier. You can go to the moon. You can increase your lifespan. You can communicate instantly across the globe. You can put a rover on Mars. You can examine the seas, and yet you have no framework to take the safety and integrity of the biosphere, including human beings, into account in your idea of progress. This system, with this level of capability and a narrow focus, which can only look at the GDP number, will self-destruct.